And what if I told you that the life you're living today isn't the result of chance, luck, or circumstance, but rather of what you silently believe about yourself? Most don't realize it, but your reality isn't being crafted by the hands of others. It's being shaped by the content of your faith. And I'm not speaking of religious faith, but of an active, vibrational, creative force. An invisible energy that transforms possibilities into facts and stagnation into movement. Now I ask you, what is commanding your days? Is it a living faith, one that builds, plants, and transforms? Or a passive, dormant faith, one that merely waits for a miracle while time slips through its fingers? The truth is harsh, but liberating. You don't need more answers. You need to awaken. To awaken to the fact that your mind, your spirit, and your belief are co-creating tomorrow today. Napoleon Hill stated, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Jesus declared in Mark 9:23, "All things are possible for one who believes." This is no coincidence. It's a code, an eternal principle, but one that only activates when you cease waiting and begin to act with faith. Not with vague hope, but with a vibrant certainty that the invisible is already gestating, and that your attitude will bring it to light. So tell me, until when will you continue waiting for life to change before you begin to believe? True faith doesn't wait. Faith anticipates. It acts, even in the darkness. It declares, even without signs. It builds, even without help. Because those who possess creative faith don't need to see to believe. They believe, and therefore begin to see. This is the key to manifestation. This is the force that transforms. Today, you are being called, not to understand everything, but to feel with your spirit and decide with your soul. You will embark on a journey of profound reprogramming. You will discover how faith shapes your identity, transforms your energy, and constructs your reality. And if you take this seriously, you will realize the life you desire is already within you. Just believe, move, and never retreat again. And what if I told you that everything you experience today was first born within you? It wasn't happenstance. It wasn't luck. It was the invisible force of your powerful belief. What you believe with your heart becomes the lens through which you perceive the world. And more than that, it transforms into the mirror of your reality. Hebrews 11:1 already stated, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." In other words, faith creates before you see. You create with what you believe. It has always been this way. The difference lies in what you choose to believe. If you believe you were born to succeed, your posture changes, your words change, your choices change. But if you believe you are condemned to repeat cycles of failure, guess what? Your mind, like a garden, will only cultivate weeds. Napoleon Hill already warned, "You become what you think about most of the time." Now tell me, what have you been thinking about yourself? Because your faith is not passive. Faith is an active, creative force, which molds every small decision of your day. When you awaken this awareness, you understand that you no longer need to wait for something external to change. The change begins within you. And with each elevated thought, with each declaration of intention, you are rebuilding your world, brick by brick, word by word. Let's bring this into practice. Imagine someone who wants to change careers. They may not have money, a diploma, or support. But if they have inner strength and a living faith, they begin where they are. They read a book. They seek out a free course. They create a strategy. They visualize the future and already feel as if they are living there. This is manifestation. This is co-creation. Faith is acting even without seeing. Faith is starting even without guarantees. Faith doesn't wait. Faith anticipates. It experiences the taste of victory before reality presents results. Proverbs 18:21 says that life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. In other words, what you think, feel, and say today is what you will reap tomorrow. So I ask you, have you been using your faith to create or to hide? You don't need more proof. You need spiritual decision. The spiritual identity of the Creator is already within you. You were not called to survive, but to transform realities. Creative faith does not accept walls. It climbs the walls, plants seeds, and makes the future sprout where there seemed to be only dry earth. But it all begins with a choice, to believe. And if you believe, so the time has come to take the next stride. Because to believe without discerning the chasm separating stagnant faith from transformative faith is akin to possessing a seed and never sowing it. And it is precisely this that you are about to grasp. If I were to reveal to you that the primary impediment to your life's progress isn't the external world, but rather the beliefs you harbor within, would you be surprised? Indeed, the most formidable battles are waged within the quiet recesses of the mind. For whatever you nourish with your thoughts takes root and manifests in your reality. What commences as a mere fleeting notion, I am incapable, this isn't meant for me, swiftly solidifies into impenetrable, invisible barriers. Proverbs 23:7 already foretold, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." You become what you believe. The reality you construct stems from the seeds you sow in the garden of your mind. If your belief is one of scarcity, the ensuing fruit will be limitation. If your belief is rooted in fear, the result will be paralysis. Conversely, should you cultivate powerful belief, unwavering confidence, and an elevated vision, the harvest will be markedly different. Now I pose the question, what have you been nurturing within? Thoughts of faith or thoughts of defeat? Many live as if burdened by a fractured mirror within themselves. Everything they perceive in life appears distorted: relationships, finances, self-esteem. Yet the mirror isn't external. It resides within. It is the spiritual identity, molded by beliefs imposed by society, by pain, by the echoes of the past. The good news, this mirror can be restored. And it all begins with a conscious decision to rewrite what you believe about yourself. Consider fertile ground. If you fail to plant flowers, weeds will inevitably take hold. The mind functions in a similar manner. Procrastinating the renewal of your faith allows toxic beliefs to dominate your inner landscape. The path to inner transformation necessitates vigilance, care, and daily choices. And if you desire a practical example, begin here. Write down the 3 most significant lies you habitually tell yourself. Then, formulate 3 positive declarations that directly challenge each of them. Repeat this exercise for 21 days. True faith supplants phrases of fear with affirmations of power. Instead of, "This is impossible," declare, "The impossible is merely a temporary challenge." Instead of, "I've never succeeded," proclaim, "I am actively creating a new reality." You need not wait for life to change before you begin to believe. You must believe in order for life to change. Transformation commences when you embrace the truth. My faith shapes my future. So tell me, how much longer will you carry within you these beliefs that no longer serve you? Creative faith cannot coexist with limited thinking. Creative faith demands mental reprogramming, a spiritual renewal, a loftier perspective. As Romans 12:2 implores, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And all transformation commences with awareness. You can persist in perceiving yourself as someone who cannot, or you can recognize that the strength already resides within you. And if you have resolved to change, then prepare yourself, because in the subsequent stride of this journey, you will understand why mere belief is insufficient. It is imperative to believe with action. For faith devoid of action is merely a wish without a destination. Now, I pose the question, what kind of faith have you been practicing? Because there exists a faith that waits and another that moves mountains. Jesus was unequivocal in Matthew 17:20. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. He did not speak of an inert faith. He spoke of a creative faith, one that acts, that takes a stand, that transforms. A seed of true faith carries within itself the full potential to engender miracles, but it must be planted with resolve. Many claim to have faith, but live as though nothing will change. They wait, pray, desire, but do not move. Passive faith is like a candle that has never been lit. Active faith, on the other hand, is a living flame, illuminating paths and confronting even the fiercest tempests. And what if I were to demonstrate that the miracle you await out there is waiting for you within? Creative faith does not wait to see in order to believe. It believes and therefore it sees. It walks upon the waters, even when everything appears tumultuous. You know that notion of when God wills, it will happen? It sounds spiritual, but often it's just fear disguised as humility. Because true faith does not hide behind excuses. It rises, acts, tries again. James 2:17 asserts, "Faith without deeds is dead." This signifies that faith without action does not transform, does not multiply, does not create. It is like possessing a seed and not planting it. It's like knowing the path and not taking a single step. Want a simple, practical example? A person who says, "I believe I will prosper," but continues to spend impulsively, doesn't study finance, doesn't prepare. That faith is merely hollow hope. Then there's another person who believes in prosperity and begins to organize their expenses, reads books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, studies investments, and seeks new sources of income. This person is acting with faith. They are constructing their future with the bricks of intention. Creative faith anticipates victory. It already savors the taste of accomplishment, even without seeing the signs. It declares, "I am capable. I am being prepared. I am advancing." It refuses to live by appearances. Proverbs 4:25 exhorts, "Let your eyes look straight ahead and your gaze be fixed directly before you." This is focus. This is faith with direction. This is the energy that vibrates with purpose and shapes the unseen. You were created to co-create. The faith that dwells within you is not a tormented waiting. It is a vibrational decision. And when this faith awakens, it aligns your energy, your mind, your body, and your actions with the life you desire. Now answer me truthfully. Have you been moving with the certainty of faith? Or have you been stagnating in the doubt of fear? Because if you truly want to change your life, you need to make a commitment. My faith shapes my future. And embodying this isn't merely repeating it. It's living as one who has already received. And the truth is, history's greatest achievers have already grasped this secret, and that's what we're about to explore. What if I were to show you that history's most prominent figures didn't attain their achievements solely through talent or luck, but through a type of faith that most people disregard? It wasn't mystical faith nor illusion. It was a creative, active faith, felt as certainty before reality even offered a hint. Edison failed over 1,000 times before the light bulb illuminated. Ford was discredited by engineers and banks. Walt Disney was labeled a lunatic. And Steve Jobs, rejected by his own company. But they all shared one commonality: powerful belief. They didn't just believe. They felt as though they had already conquered. That's the difference. It's not merely about dreaming, but about living the dream from within before it manifests externally. Napoleon Hill deeply studied these individuals and revealed, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This is more than just positive thinking. It is reality created from faith. They acted as if they already were, and because of this, they became. Now I ask you, are you waiting for life to improve before you believe in yourself? Or are you willing to believe so intensely that your faith compels reality to align? Because that is what these achievers did. They visualized, declared, and moved with clarity. They didn't ask permission to believe. They created space for the impossible to happen. And you can too, if you make your faith a practice, not just an idea. Want a practical example to start now? Grab a notebook. Write down in detail what your life would be like if you were already living the life you desire. Then, read it aloud every day. Feel it. See it. Act as if it were already real. This is visualization imbued with sincere emotion, one of the most potent tools in mental reprogramming. And it's not magic. It's neuroscience. It's spirituality. It's intentional action with faith vibrating in unison. Proverbs 16:3 states, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." This demonstrates that faith and action walk hand in hand. When you commit your steps to God and move towards what you believe in, the heavens move with you. Because true faith doesn't require external validation. It's born in the invisible. It grows in the invisible. And one day it appears, to astound those who doubted. So tell me, are you waiting for the world to believe in you before you start? Or will you be like those achievers who already lived as victors before the victory? The strength is already within you. You were called to build, to transform, to leave a legacy. But without active faith, everything boils down to unrealized plans. Therefore, take note. My faith shapes my future. Say this until every cell in your body believes it. And if up to this point you've understood how the great ones create reality from faith, now it's time to delve into an uncomfortable question. Why do so many still fail, even when they claim to believe? Why do so many still fail despite believing? So tell me, why do so many people say they have faith, but remain trapped in scarcity, in fear, in the same old cycle? The answer lies in focus. Many believe, yes, but they believe more in the problem than in the solution. They focus more on the obstacles than on the promise. They feed fear more than confidence. And the mind, as Napoleon Hill rightly said, is a garden. If you don't plant what you want to harvest, what you fear will grow. Faith does not fail. What fails is the way it is cultivated. Some people water doubt every day and then wonder why the harvest is bitter. Proverbs 23:7 is clear. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. If deep down you believe you are not worthy, that you are not capable, that you will never get anywhere, life will only respond to that command, because external reality reflects internal belief. Many don't realize they are praying with words of faith, but feeling with emotions of fear. And true faith must be in vibrational resonance with what you want to manifest. It's not enough to say you believe, you must feel as if you already possess it. And if you carry negative thoughts all day long, you are contaminating your own harvest. Faith is akin to a fire. It necessitates being fueled with the timber of purpose, vision, and action. Seeking to alter this landscape, commence by identifying the dominant thoughts you silently cultivate. Procure paper and pen and chronicle the thoughts that have been recurring in your mind over the recent days. Are they thoughts of faith or of failure? Of courage or of scarcity? Undertake a cleansing. Substitute each limiting thought with a positive affirmation. For example, instead of, "I am not good enough," declare, "I am growing and learning with each step." Another pivotal point, the majority believe for a while and then retreat. They take steps while everything is favorable, but if something deviates from the expected, they surrender. However, creative faith is tenacious. It does not require external evidence to persist. Mark 11:24 teaches, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours." Observe, it doesn't say believe when you see. It says believe that you already have. This is active, living faith, which anticipates the blessing. The failure often lies not in the faith itself, but in the lack of action taken with faith. James 2:17 has already reminded us, "Faith without deeds is dead." You might possess the most beautiful dream in the world. If you don't act, nothing changes. If you don't sow, you don't reap. And if I were to ask you now, have you been acting in accordance with what you profess to believe, or is your faith stagnant, awaiting ideal conditions? Because the faith that transforms does not wait for the perfect scenario. It creates the scenario. And if you've grasped where many falter, then you might be pondering, what precisely destroys people's faith without their awareness? The answer resides in 4 invisible enemies that operate in silence. And the subsequent step is to unveil them, one by one. The 4 invisible enemies of faith. And what if I were to tell you that there are silent forces that undermine your faith every day, even when you believe you are steadfast? The truth is that faith doesn't vanish all at once. It is eroded by invisible enemies, which enter slowly, without fanfare. And the first of these is fear. 2 Timothy 1:7 declares, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind." In other words, fear is not spiritual. It is an emotional sabotage that paralyzes you when you most need to act. Fear is treacherous. It disguises itself as prudence, caution, rationality. But deep down, it prevents you from moving forward. What if it goes wrong? What if no one supports me? What if I fail again? Questions like these fuel the internal tempests that topple even the grandest dreams. And most seriously, fear subtly drains the energy from your creative faith. And when you realize it, you are living for survival, no longer for purpose. The second enemy? Doubt. It arrives like a breeze but turns into a hurricane. In Matthew 14:31, Jesus said to Peter, who was sinking in the water, "O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt?" As long as Peter kept his gaze on faith, he walked on the impossible. But it was enough to focus on the wind, and he sank. Doubt is the assassin of spiritual creation. It disconnects your identity from the promise. It makes you look at the problem instead of the solution. And where there is doubt, there is no manifestation. The third enemy is procrastination. It seems harmless, but it is lethal. Napoleon Hill was incisive. Procrastination is the hidden assassin of opportunity. You say, "I'll start next week, when I have more time, when I'm prepared," and time passes, and faith cools, and dreams become forgotten files. Creating faith demands action, even if small, even with fear. even without guarantees. Continuous action keeps the flame of faith burning. And the fourth enemy, perhaps the most ignored, the toxic environment. Negative words, people who mock your vision, atmospheres charged with disbelief. All of this corrodes your inner strength. 1 Corinthians 15:33 is clear. Evil communications corrupt good manners. And this includes thoughts, habits, and above all, your faith. You are influenced by what you hear, see, and feel every day. So I ask you, does the environment you are in strengthen or weaken you? If you associate with people who only complain, doubt, and live in scarcity, your faith will be constantly attacked. Now, if you consciously cultivate an environment brimming with positive stimuli, potent affirmations, biblical teachings, and narratives of triumph over adversity, your powerful belief system will begin to fortify itself, akin to a muscle undergoing a restorative process. Consequently, safeguarding your mind and spirit transcends mere preference. It constitutes a fundamental spiritual obligation. And, given that these adversarial forces have been brought to light, how does one practically vanquish them? What are the foundational principles that you must actively engage with daily to cultivate a faith that is vibrant, robust, and unyielding? The answer resides in what follows. What are the three fundamentals for strengthening faith? Now I ask you, how does one keep the flame of faith alive in a world that constantly seeks to extinguish it? The answer lies in three simple yet profoundly spiritual foundations: mental reprogramming, continuous action, and environmental protection. These pillars sustain a faith that does not waver in the wind, that does not fade with doubt, and that endures even when everything around you screams, "Give up." Creative faith requires structure. Otherwise, it withers in the realm of intention. The first foundation is mental reprogramming. You must clear the ground. Replace old patterns with positive affirmations, grounded in the Word. Begin your day by saying, "My faith shapes my future. I am strong. I am guided. I am capable." This is not self-help. It is spiritual realignment. Romans 10:17 states that faith comes by hearing. Therefore, listen daily to words that nourish your spiritual identity. Listen to videos, sermons, biblical audio, music that elevates your vibration. The second foundation is continuous action. Faith needs movement. You can declare, visualize, pray, but if you do not act, nothing changes. And it doesn't have to be a monumental undertaking. Small steps, taken with purpose, already activate the force of creation. Want a practical example? If you want to make a living from something new, start today with research, a contact, some writing, a video, a seed. Action with faith is the practical language of heaven. God honors those who move. The third foundation is environmental protection. If your faith is like a flame, then the environment is the wind. It can extinguish or strengthen. Choose what enters your mind as a farmer chooses what they plant. Distance yourself from negative conversations, toxic social media, friendships that mock your faith, and draw closer to those who build, believe, and propel you forward. Proverbs 13:20 states, "Walk with the wise and become wise." Walking with people of faith activates your own faith. What if I showed you that these three foundations are like spiritual keys, capable of unlocking doors you didn't even know existed? Do not underestimate the power of tending to what you think, what you do, and where you are. Faith, when well cared for, transforms into a magnet for opportunities. When poorly nourished, it becomes rootless hope, and hope without roots sustains no one for long. So tell me, have you been strengthening these pillars? Or have you left your faith to the whims of chance? It is no use planting good seeds in contaminated soil, and it is no use praying for a harvest without tending the field. The faith that transforms necessitates alignment. Now that you are conversant with the fundamentals, you are poised to enact them in your daily life, your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And it is precisely this that we shall now delve into: how to activate in day-to-day practice a faith that creates, transforms, and manifests that which you were destined to experience. How to activate faith in daily practice. What if I told you that your faith isn't just revealed in what you believe, but in what you think, say, and do every day? Creative faith isn't merely a spiritual concept. It's a daily practice. It's life incarnate. It's subtle and constant action. It's a daily alignment between mind, words, and deeds. And it starts with the first step, thinking with faith, because every miracle is first born in thought. Your mind is a mirror of reality. If ideas of failure, fear, and scarcity reside within it, that's what you will see reflected. But if you cultivate thoughts of courage, abundance, and fulfillment, then the world adjusts to your vibration. Want a practical exercise? Every time a limiting thought arises, say aloud, "That thought does not represent me. My faith shapes my future." Immediately replace it with a positive declaration. This is conscious thought in action. Next, speak with faith. Your words have creative power. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Each phrase you repeat is a spiritual brick in the construction of your life. Avoid saying, "It can't be done. It's difficult. I can never do it." Instead say, "I am progressing. I am growing. I am creating with faith." The word imbued with intention is a prayer that moves the unseen. Do not underestimate the impact of what you declare. The third key is to act with faith. Yes, you can declare and visualize, but if there is no action, everything stalls. True faith manifests in daily choices. Want to prosper? Organize your finances. Want to grow? Study, practice, connect. Want to heal? Eat well, pray, meditate, trust. Action, even small, carries within it the energy of commitment. As James 2:17 states, "Faith without deeds is dead. Living faith walks on the feet of decision." Now I ask you, what would your life be like if every thought were shaped by hope, every word by certainty, every act by confidence? This is what Jesus meant in Mark 11:24. Believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. True faith anticipates. It doesn't wait to believe. It believes, and therefore, it begins to see. Apply this from dawn. Upon waking, declare the direction of your day. During work, watch your mind and resort to your affirmations. Before sleeping, visualize your future as if you are already living it. This creates an energetic field aligned with divine co-creation. And in that field, miracles become logical. And if, until now, you've grasped how to activate your faith through thought, speech, and action, the moment has arrived to unleash an even more potent force, one that propels all those steps forward. Gratitude. This is precisely what you're poised to uncover in the subsequent step. Gratitude. What if I told you there exists a key capable of accelerating everything that faith has begun to create? That key is called gratitude. But it's not just any gratitude. It's the kind that anticipates victory. It's giving thanks before seeing, before touching, before understanding. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstances." Not when everything goes right, but in everything. Because those who give thanks beforehand demonstrate that they have already received in the invisible. And because of this, the visible aligns itself. Gratitude is faith in its purest state. It is elevated vibration, a spiritual language that communicates to the universe. I already have. I already am. I have already overcome. It dissolves fear, reconfigures the mind, and strengthens belief. Napoleon Hill noticed that the most successful men were, without exception, grateful, even in difficult days. Because they knew, complaining lowers your frequency, giving thanks amplifies your power of manifestation. Now I ask you, how many times a day do you stop to give genuine thanks? Not out of obligation, but with sincere emotion. Gratitude is not a ritual, it's a vibrational posture. Want to see this in practice? Every day, before any task, write down 3 things for which you are grateful. And at the end of the day, give thanks for the experiences, even if they were challenging. This activates an internal state that attracts more reasons to be thankful. Gratitude transforms the mind from scarcity to abundance. You stop looking at what's missing and begin to see what flourishes. And when the focus changes, the energy changes. And when the energy changes, life responds. Gratitude is like water for the seed of faith. Without it, faith withers. With it, faith sprouts and grows strong. And the harvest comes, in due time, with ripe fruits full of purpose. Speak with faith, think with faith, act with faith, and give thanks with faith. This is the cycle of co-creation. Because those who give thanks before receiving prove that they trust, that they believe, that they don't need to see to believe. The faith that manifests is rooted in the gratitude that vibrates. It's as if by giving thanks, you are saying, "Father, I know it is already mine." And heaven responds with movement, with open doors, with new realities. So tell me, are you ready to transform gratitude into a spiritual habit? Because what comes now is more than inspiration. It is a summons. A definitive choice between remaining as you are or courageously assuming, my faith shapes my future. Because the next step is a calling, and only those who truly believe will answer. Your faith shapes your future. So tell me, after everything you've heard, felt, and understood, what will you choose to believe from this moment forward? Because the truth is simple, direct, and powerful. Your faith shapes your future. It's not the government, it's not the past, it's not the opinions of others. It's what you believe in your heart, think about frequently, and reinforce with action. That is what determines the path you will tread. Faith is the raw material of reality. Everything that exists began as an idea, a powerful belief, cultivated with intention, emotion, and perseverance. Jesus said in Matthew 9:29, "According to your faith be it done to you." This is not a metaphor, it's a spiritual decree. You receive from life not what you desire, but what you profoundly believe. So now I ask you, what do you truly believe? From today onward, you have a clear choice before you. Continue feeding doubt, or awaken an active, vibrant, living faith. A faith that walks, builds, transforms. A faith that does not retreat in the face of challenges, but faces them as temporary hurdles. And if until now you have been molded by scarcity, guilt, and fear, that can change. But it only changes when you decide to change from within. Make a vibrational commitment to your own transformation. Declare this not only with words, but with posture, with action, with firm decisions. Write, speak, repeat, "My faith shapes my future." This is not just a phrase, it is a spiritual code, a password to access a new identity, a call to live aligned with the purpose that God planted within you. And if I showed you that this decision, made with intention and courage, could be the turning point of your life? It doesn't matter how much time has passed, how many mistakes you've made, or how many times you've doubted. Now is the moment. Now is the time to rise with faith in your eyes and certainty in your heart. Creation begins within. Action comes after. And the fruits, inevitably, will come. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle in motion. The strength is already within you. The life you desire already exists in the unseen realm. It is enough that you believe, with action, with gratitude, with courage. And if you've come this far, then you know, what comes now is only the beginning. We've reached the end, but in truth, this is merely the genesis of a new consciousness. Today, you've grasped that faith isn't simply a passive creed, it is the very force that fabricates reality. Everything you perceive in the external world originated as an internal conviction. Your mind, your words, your choices, these are the instruments of creation. And now, armed with this knowledge, one thing becomes unequivocally clear. You are not a victim of destiny. You are the co-creator of your tomorrow. And this is not mere theory, it is spiritual verity. Jesus affirmed in Mark 11:24, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Creative faith resides in the present. It anticipates the harvest, plants with audacity, and trusts with gratitude. If you desire to witness tangible changes externally, commence internally. Do not outsource your power. Do not postpone your transformation. So now embrace the commitment that can alter everything. State it aloud. Write it in the comments. Declare it to the universe. My faith shapes my future. This phrase is not merely a motto. It is a turning point, a vibrational decision, a new positioning before life. And each time you reiterate this with intention, you fortify your spiritual identity and activate a new cycle of manifestation. Now tell me, which facet of your life will you transform with this creative faith? Write it here in the comments. This fortifies your commitment and inspires others. If this video resonated with your heart, share it with someone who needs to awaken. And of course, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because here you will continue to learn how to transform faith into action, thought into reality, and purpose into life. Because the strength already dwells within you. Now, the onus is on you.